I got that tuberculosis. It ain't working out for me. Hey, we're live, boys. Welcome, America, to the Eric and Rodney Show with Robin, presented by Offensively Creative and Dinsmore Steel. I'm America's sweetheart, Eric Ryan. I own Offensively Creative. We have Rod, the PEO god, owner of Dinsmore Steel, the thriller from Manila, Robin Valdez, and Brion Carroll, CEO of SABRION Digital Group. How is that? Yeah, thanks for being here.
Did he nail it? Did he nail it?
You nailed it. It was
You
great.
got it right.
Perfect.
I was very worried, but
We've
thank
been
you.
working on that for 45 minutes, America.
I'm so nervous. I don't know how to read, so words are difficult for me.
We've been sounding it all out.
SABRION. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Before we get into the Brion Carroll portion of the show, and it's going to be riveting, I can tell. We've talked before. We have to talk about the news because America demands our opinions on such things.
They do.
But first of all, every day in this country, I don't know if you know this, it's a national day. We celebrate something because we're Americans. We like to have a good time. But today's sort of on a somber note, but I want to get your take on this. Today is National Forgiveness Day. Now, I don't believe in forgiveness as a thing that I do. However, I would like to apologize to Robin for all the times we've had making fun of his shawls and shirts. He didn't know who the Yankees were. He's still wearing Cleveland Indian garb, which is wildly racist. We make fun of him for his headset, which is not nice, his Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. And I want to take this opportunity to apologize and hopefully, because it's National Forgiveness Day, you forgive him.
Thank you.
Can I just say something? He's obviously taken none of it to heart because he's still wearing all of it.
I know.
He looks more Jeffrey Dahmer's today than we did yesterday. And that's saying something because yesterday I thought he was going to kill us both.
Is that a cue for me to undress?
No, that
needs the Forgiveness Day.
Forgiveness Day.
Yeah, I just think I think it's easier to forgive than it is to hold a grudge. So I do the hard thing in life. Isn't that what you're supposed to do? Challenge yourself. I'm a big grudge holder.
You know what I always think though? It's not about forgiveness. It's about forgetting. That's where it's at, right? Because if you forget about it, you don't even need to worry about forgiveness. You don't even remember it happened.
Yeah. Well, there was always this thing that I used to hear is that resenting somebody for an act is like drinking poison and expecting to kill them. Yeah. So it's kind of like the reverse. I want to get better. Act is hurt. So it's more like a selfish act of forgiveness. Yeah. And I like the selfish portion. So I was like, oh yeah, then I can forgive to help myself. So I always kind of flipped it around.
No, that makes sense. But hear me out. Yeah. You know how alcohol's poison? Well, I drink the poison because it makes me feel good. In this case, hating people makes me feel good. I know it shouldn't because it is poison, just like booze is poison.
Here's the question, though. Have you spoken with Jesus about this?
I have terrible news on that front.
Or your local Scientology office?
Yes. I've consulted them.
Or a personality test while you're holding the two cones?
They said if I give them an extra couple $100, they can solve my problem for me. So I'm saying.
Yeah, but it's also people, I think, with forgiveness, certain people don't want forgiveness, so we forgive them for people that don't want our forgiveness. Well, that's not a good idea either. We're letting people off the hook and becoming a doormat for people.
That's true. I can't wait for the time in my life where somebody tells me they forgive me and I go, oh, I don't want you to. No, please don't. Hold on to that. Continue to hate me, please.
You look at them and you know what you say to them? I forgive you too. God bless you. And then touch their face gently. Say, go on.
And a nice open hand slap on the ass. Yeah, that makes sense.
Go in peace. Go in peace, my child.
How I wish I was next to you, Eric.
So a nice open hand slap on the ass. That's someday. Someday we're gonna take this.
You always can look at somebody when they upset you though and say, "Do you want me to get my belt?" That works very well with
good old
days. That works best on is with men, other men.
I thought you were going
to. You want me to get my belt?
No, men is
no. I learned that from my wife. She said to me, "Do you want me to get the belt?" No, I'll get right to the chores.
I'm gonna start using that at business meetings too. I think that'll fly. Yeah.
You can't use it on women.
Just start taking it off. I think people just start taking it off. And looking at someone.
Be like
very focused in their eyes.
Listen, motherfucker. Yeah, no, I like it. It's good. All right. Well, we got a lot of juice out of National Forgiveness Day, which is good. Once again, it was one of those. There's no other thing today. We
rode that one like a hobby horse.
We really did.
Hobby Horse National Championships. We should have that young girl on here. She jumped nearly 20 feet. I was thinking to myself, I don't want to get off on a tangent here. We need to get her connected to the NBA because she belongs in the WNBA immediately. Yeah, if she can hold on to a horse and jump 20 feet, imagine what she could do with a basketball.
Yeah. Wow. So, Brian, if you haven't seen, so there's National Hobby Horse. You know, like the horses, it's a stick with a fake horse head.
Yeah. And
they're championships. And there's a documentary out there. I know.
Yeah. Eric was watching it, but we also found it on. Here's the other thing, too, though, right? That I thought was very sad is, did you see the other documentary, which is The Dark Side of the hobby horse racing? It talks about the death of the horses.
Yeah, would they have to put them down?
They had.
What are they?
There was a fire in one of the young girls' homes.
Oh my god, I can't believe
they lost an entire stable of horses.
Oh, that's so sad. Oh my god. That's very emotional. All right, we got to move on. I can't talk about dead hobby horses. All right, we're good.
I said, is this real? I can't believe Fox is reporting about this. Go on. Live from the streets.
It's the liberals' fault. All right, Robin, what do you got?
Okay, so first up, we're now coming out of what's called the Billion Girl Summer. That's
we
have Taylor Swift, Beyonce, and Barbie, and they've all managed to pump about $9 billion into the economy. So Taylor Swift's success is really good, so much that she's going to make a film version of her concert. I'm not really a Taylor Swift song, but I know a lot of friends who'd give a kidney just to see her.
It's crazy.
Give a kidney to see the movie?
I think this is
live.
Okay.
Here's the thing: they're calling this the she-economy. I think they're going because it's not the he-economy; it's the economy. Like, you're really trying hard here. Right. Enough with that. Stop it. The she-economy. And listen, listen. I'm a feminist. I love women. My mother's a woman. But like, yes, you've fired. So you pumped 8.5 billion. Men have been doing this for a long time. Every Avengers movie comes out makes 8.5 billion. So listen, I'm glad you're catching up. But no one gets all excited how much I love Iron Man. You know. But anyway,
I got to be honest. I didn't even know that Beyonce was on tour.
Neither did I. She's really been overshadowed by Barbie.
She's kept it quiet. I know. Every time I turn around, Taylor Swift's singing a new tune.
Mm-hmm. Would you guys go see the Taylor Swift documentary? Are you interested in it at all?
No. I don't think so.
I got to be honest with you. I know Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I mean, I went to a wedding, and all they wanted to play, I swear to God, was Taylor Swift music. Yeah. Like, they did not want any breakup of the I was like, this is crazy. There's no person but this group of individuals. They really love the Taylor Swift, and she has something going for her that I don't know.
She does.
Rare, I guess.
Yeah. You have a daughter, right? Is she a Swiftie?
So I have 3, and
that's
to my knowledge, no.
Really?
No, they don't.
Well fucking done, sir.
Well done. Yeah, well done, sir.
Yeah.
You're doing the
now. If my daughter comments on this and says, "Dad, what the heck?" You know, then
then you don't know her musical taste.
Yeah,
I'm a terrible father.
But other than that, you're doing the Lord's work, sir.
Yeah, you're not going to be as terrible a father as somebody else. But here's my thing on this. I do like it a little bit because I thought, like, in the mid '90s. Before the internet, when everybody was sort of listening to the same music. And I know they did that in the 60s, 70s, 80s, but I wasn't around. But like, I loved that everybody I knew sort of had an opinion on Nevermind or, 10 by Pearl Jam or the Black Album or Doggy Style or the Chronic. Like, shit came out, we all listened to it. Now you can listen to music in a million different ways. Nobody's listening to the same shit. If you know a new man and somebody else knows a new man, it blows your mind. Whereas that used to be like everybody knew everything, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of happy that all the white chicks in the world have gathered around Taylor Swift and they're all this. It's nice. It's like a throwback.
Yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, thank you. I have another thing to say about this because this was a music documentary and I think fucking music documentaries might be the best thing ever invented. So I'm going to do the United States a service and I'm going to tell you the 4 greatest music documentaries right now. These are them. Do yourselves a favor, write it down. Searching for Sugar Man won the 2000.
Amazing.
Oh my God.
Amazing movie. Yeah.
2011 Academy Award. Searching for Sugar Man will blow your fucking mind. It's an unbelievable story to the point where you go, it's actually unbelievable. Like, you're going to go, this can't be real.
They should have made a movie out of it. Like, they could make a movie out of that story, like a real movie. You know,
he just died too. Rodriguez died like 2 months ago.
Did he?
Yeah.
I downloaded the entire album.
Me too. It's a fucking great album.
Yeah, he's great. He was great.
Yeah, so Muscle Shoals is about Muscle Shoals. I believe it's Alabama, where all this unbelievable music was cut. It's a background band, and everybody assumes like the Rolling Stones heard an album that they cut, went there thinking the guys were going to be black, but these dorky white guys that look like they work at Target, and they're responsible for some of the funkiest music in the world. They backed up Aretha Franklin, Percy Sledge. It's just fucking funky. The Wrecking Crew is another background band. Brian Wilson went to the Wrecking Crew studio to record Pet Sounds. He sent the rest of the Beach Boys out for lunch, and he recorded Pet Sounds with the Wrecking Crew. That's how fucking good they are. So that album where you go, it's like the greatest musical album of all time, they fucking recorded it. And I don't care how you feel about Metallica. I'm neither here nor there on them, but Some Kind of Monster is a 10-star documentary. It is fucking amazing. That's what I got on that. Everybody write that down. Robin, go watch these 4.
By the way, I think Brian Wilson is a genius.
I think so too. He was smart enough to send the rest of the Beach Boys out and record with these guys.
Yeah. Pet Sounds was amazing.
Yeah. And Wrecking Crew has a female bassist, which for that time, like, blew people's fucking minds. You weren't allowed to be a lady and play an instrument, but she was arguably the greatest bassist of all time.
Can I tell you the worst documentary I think of all time of bands that I loved was the Beastie Boy one. It was terrible. The one on Apple where they were like talking.
Not good.
It was terrible. It was terrible. They were like on stage talking and just like they were so polite and nice. And I was like, I get out of here, guys.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, if you want to bounce back from that, Rick Rubin, you know, the Beastie Boys man.
Yeah, I like Rick Rubin. Yeah.
Did you watch Shangri-La, his 4-part series? That documentary is fucking amazing. Music.
I know he's out there, right?
What's that?
I know he's out there, right?
He's a kooky character, but he's delightful.
I grew up listening to the Beastie Boys. That was kind of
me too. I loved it.
I loved them.
It's the new style.
I don't really care to know about their lives. I just assumed it was. I'll just live on the legend that
I thought they were outside of White Castle rapping, and I found out what was not what I was hearing.
They were outside of White Castle.
Well, that's all they ever talked about. And I will say this: I think 2 of the best albums of all time in my mind. There are several, but while we're on it, is Beastie Boys' Paul's Boutique. It's amazing. It's an amazing album. Better than any other shit they've ever put out. And I also think that Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys or by Brian Wilson and the Wrecking Crew
Brian Wilson and the Wrecking Crew
was incredible. My stepfather had that record and he used to play it. And I'm old, and I just remember thinking like, this is incredible. It's mind blowing. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go on.
No, it's okay. But speaking of Brian's point about like not wanting to know about the Beastie Boys, my wife is a huge Beach Boys fan. So I've seen Brian Wilson multiple times. Do not leave the memories alone, because right now it's just an old man yelling at clouds. Like they wheel his fat ass out there. Terrible. He can't sing. It's terrible. Someone is. It's like Mitch McConnell. Stop putting him in front of cameras. Something is wrong.
Well, they said that Mitch just yesterday had a brain fart.
Yeah, that's every.
Doesn't he have like a physician, like Elvis or Michael Jackson, kind of following him around, just shooting him up with stuff? Isn't that the thing?
That's what rock and roll used to be, man. Like you should always have a physician.
I think it still is.
They said Mitch had a brain fart. I said I think Mitch did a duty. Had a brain duty.
He fell out.
Thoughts and prayers, Mitch. Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and prayers. All right. Mitch, not a fan, but yeah. Go ahead. What do you got, Robin?
Didn't the Beach Boys also sing "God Only Knows"?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
they were talking about Mitch. Song. God only knows.
The Beach,
good one.
God only knows what's going on up there with that old codger.
Yeah. I think the Beach Boys are like the Beatles in the sense that whether or not you absolutely love them is up for debate, but you can't say they don't have like 100 good songs. Right? Like you put on their hits and you're like, yeah, this is objectively a good song.
Robin's a big fan of Kokomo.
Yeah, no, he loves it.
That was a good song.
Stamos played drums on that, didn't it? Uncle Jesse from Full House.
Well, that's the difference again. An era in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, you were forced to listen to music, even if when it first came on the first 20 times, you didn't like it. By the 21st, you're like, this song ain't that bad.
Yeah,
and then you're singing it on the 50th time, So
you had no choice.
I had no choice.
Yeah, that's the Taylor Swift phenomenon, because if Taylor Swift came out in the 80s, I would know every song because I couldn't avoid it. But now that I can avoid it, I'm so on the outside. Like, she's the biggest artist in the world. If you had a gun to my head, I couldn't name 3 songs.
Yeah.
It's weird.
I know she has a 15-minute song about breaking up with Jake Gyllenhaal in a scarf. I got to be honest, though. Is I don't care about Jake Gyllenhaal. Isn't he like 4 foot tall?
I think every Hollywood actor.
Like, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
They're small people.
Yeah, he's like, I mean, she was taller than he was.
I
confused.
Dude, did I show? I pulled up her list of boyfriends. It's like 30 deep. I'm not criticized. If I was rich, I'd also bang 30 dudes. If I was,
yeah, I don't.
But they're very bizarre. Like
today.
the only cool one I think she went out with was John Catmayer.
She did. Yep.
I mean, who else, right? Who else has she been out? It's the guy from the 1975. He got banned from Asia or something.
I love the 1975, but he looks like he smells.
I didn't even heard of him. I thought he was from Bowling for Soup or Bowling for Columbine or whatever that band's called.
No, he's not from Bowling for Soup.
Or the Fallout Gang or
Fallout Boy.
I don't know, man. There's like a whole group of bands where it's like Dashboard Confessionals and all those guys. I don't know what in the world the message was. Screaming.
We do a whole bit where you mispronounce bands.
Yeah,
like,
just out there.
Like Charles Barkley can never pronounce any players' names. This is what you do. This is great. Okay, we did 15 minutes on two things. So we if we're gonna get to Brian, we gotta
move on. We do.
I love it.
Okay, so man, social media influencers and personalities always have some sort of skeletons in their closet. I'm sure we do as well, but we're not that famous, and nothing gets worse than, I guess, malnourishing and neglecting your kids. So there's these two bloggers on YouTube, and get this, they specialize in blogging about parenting and lifestyle. And they've been arrested because of child abuse. Children were malnourished, and they also found duct tape around their extremities.
Yeah. So speaking of being, so Brian, don't worry about being a terrible father. This is another. Okay, so this is a Fox News story.
Right.
I'm not saying it's fake, but what I am saying it's shitty journalism because first of all, okay, they arrested these two, but they're business partners. This one on the right is the parent of the 6 children, so this is her family. This begs the question. So one of these kids, this is the quote. I mean, this is a fucking disgusting story, but upon arrival, police located a juvenile who appeared to be malnourished and emaciated with open wounds and duct tape around the extremities. Holy fucking shit. But this, that's
insane.
The reason it's shitty journalism is why is this chick on the left doesn't have kids. They're just business partners. Where's the father in this? Isn't he culpable as well?
Looks like they're two fathers.
Yeah. Well, I know. I thought that too. But
who's that guy with his face? Or is that a kid?
It's a kid. I know.
How many kids do they have?
6.
Jeepers creepers. All right. Well, the guy with the Peaky Blinders in the back, he's Papa.
Yes.
Is that Peaky?
Peaky Blinders. You're
is
gonna
that
love
Cillian Murphy?
So Peaky Blinders got in on the action because these two, I guess, are pretty popular as mommy bloggers. So now you can hire the husband as a business coach. So if you're interested in hiring him, I think he's going to be pretty available.
I brought those two to fame.
Is he doing calls from jail?
This is my question. If you have 6 children and you're abusing them, why do you arrest you and your business partner? Some people in the comments suggested that perhaps they are more than business partners, which could be. But again, I feel like the father is sort of
again. My question here is that where was Papa at? Was he out doing Peaky Blinders work? Or I mean, I can't imagine they break into the house, find kids. All these kids are malnourished. Even the big tall one there, right? Who looks like he's older than Pa.
I know.
And they were like immediately like the mother's going to jail with her business partner, not Papa.
Not Papa. It's this.
He's definitely in Peaky Blinders if that's the case, because there's no way they would have let him skate free unless they thought he was going to take their eyes.
Peaky Blinders is a great.
You know, it's crazy. Like sociopaths look so. It's so scary how normal they look. I agree with you.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like you can be walking in a crowd and a woman, with a lovely Sunday dress, or husband in a blue suit with a floral tie, just walks by and they just tied their kids up. I mean, that is the insanity.
Well, actually, he's not wearing a floral tie. That's one of the kids. I thought so too. No, that's one of the children.
I feel so bad that I laughed, but it's you're true. It's they're crazy. They're just nuts.
And
the other question: what about the 3 big kids in the back? Were they not able to help little Susie and Timmy?
I'm glad you mentioned that.
Oh,
they have been trying for a while. So one of them sent out an Instagram story with her getting arrested and wrote "finally." So one of the kids, I think, was involved in getting the mother arrested.
But the big tall boy there,
that's who reported it.
The big tall guy there on the very end there, the 30-year-old man who's bigger than his father.
Yep.
He couldn't do nothing.
Well, here's the thing, man. Okay, so somebody did this great quote, and I totally agree. They go, you can have a fucked up father and still be okay. A lot of people have fucked up fathers, but if you have a fucked up mother, you're cooked. And I do believe that to be true. So who knows? I mean, they grew up under her fucking abuse, maybe Stockholm syndrome. Like, who the fuck knows?
This is
Plus,
terrible
that was
news.
their normal. That was their normal, getting beaten and abused. So if that's your normal, I don't know.
When will the Duber stop?
I'm guessing in your guys' generation, like child beating was still a common thing.
No, we're not that old.
I've never beat a child. No.
What? No, I mean like your parents might have beaten you when you were kids.
Oh yeah,
No.
other parents helped your parents beat you. You know, it was like, if you're getting out of line, people took it upon themselves to throw you a kick.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Terrible running from your
They were
dad.
coming out there with the belt.
I got him. I got him.
I never got smacked around. I don't want to brag or anything. I was afraid of my father. I was afraid he might do it, but he never did.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I never got smacked around with my father. It was my mother I was concerned about, but it was never like bad. Like she was in the kitchen or something and I did something, she would take the spoon and go like pop my, something like that. But I don't recall her ever tying me up and beating me for days.
Oh, that's good. You don't remember that?
No, I mean, maybe, but
Blacked it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, Brian, your parenting style? Are you a modern parent?
Yeah, I mean, I love my kids. I think my kids are, greatest thing that they changed my life. They made me better. They make me want to be better. Yeah. All those things. So yeah.
You liked them so much you had 4, which is that's an awful amount of children. I have 2, and under no circumstance would I go, oh, yeah, 2 more sounds good. There's such a pain.
Well,
let me be clear. And in no circumstances would I be like, 1 sounds good.
Yeah. So let me be clear. I have 2 girls, and my wife has a girl and a boy.
Gotcha.
So that's where, and we met about 14 years ago. So we've been together, blending that family.
So it's like the Brady Bunch, but smaller.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Just,
I like it.
Yeah.
That's a lot more reasonable. So you're on my team. Yeah. You had 2 and you were like, that's enough. And then you're like, all right, I guess I got to take.
That makes sense.
I get it. All right. What else do we got in the news? Can we move on from this vicious woman?
Yes, please. Okay, finally, I'm excited about this one. The Pentagon has finally announced that they're going to release a new website, and they're declassifying UFO photos, videos, and reports of the extraterrestrial. So my hopes a couple of years ago, when Obama would always like poke about the existing aliens. This article contains a lot of information where this National Reconnaissance Officer testified that he knows several instances of people who were harmed when they were trying to fuck with UFO technology, as well as dealings with biologics of non-human origins, and he knows where they're being kept.
Yeah. So this guy has a lot of information. His friends have been hurt trying to reverse engineer alien technology. He knows exactly where they live. And 6 members of Congress were so worked up about this that they demanded details from the intelligence community. So if you're listening at home, these 6 people have done 100% more for aliens than gun violence. Isn't that tremendous? Isn't that great?
Can I ask you a question though? Now, has this guy died?
What?
Is this guy still alive?
Somehow he's still alive.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is not important. I see.
No, but he riled up Congress, and Congress is doing something. The thing they're doing is they're going to declassify some information. They've already released 1 picture of an alien. Have you guys seen it? It's crazy.
They found her at the local Marriott.
Yeah. This is the first official festival. Every other picture has been grainy. It's been in space, little lights, but finally we have, and then they have a friend of hers too.
But I'll say this: in the 80s, there was a guy that came out and said he worked at Area 51 or whatever it was, and he said they're going to really, we're finding out about this light traveling fiber optics, and he had all this convincing argument. Nobody believed him. They called him a loon. And then shortly after, we came out with, fiber optic cables. It's just like, forget that guy. And this guy's the real guy. He doesn't have any proof besides his testimony. But, I think people have been doing this for years. It's just,
It's like when I went to get my phone and the AT&T guy told me 5G was going to change our lives. It hasn't done anything. It gave us COVID.
Right. No, that was Obama.
Right. That's right.
The other thing, there's a million things. I want to be wrong about this because I don't think aliens, I think they certainly exist. The universe is gigantic. I don't think they've been here, but this begs the question. Right. So we lost a WNBA player in Russia and everybody lost their fucking minds, right? Nobody cares about the WNBA. It was just like, oh, we got to get Britney back. So you're telling me aliens have crash landed from another planet and the rest of the aliens like, fuck it, leave them. Like no one came back to get them. That seems, that's a little strange. Is it not? If one of your family members goes hiking and he has been gone for a few hours, don't you send somebody out to look for him? So we just have aliens upon aliens upon aliens crash landing on this planet, and everyone's like, fuck it.
Maybe they're already here.
Oh,
I can think of a couple of examples. Ted Cruz might be an alien.
Yep. This chick.
Ron DeSantis. Mitch McConnell.
So I mean, if aliens do exist and they come out eventually, we have furries. What are you gonna call people that have like alien kinks?
Alien fetishes?
Yeah.
I think I'm developing an alien fetish.
Alienist.
Alienist. You know we're gonna sleep.
I mean, at this point, you definitely can't offend anybody. So you just act like they don't exist. They walk by it, just let them go.
I have an idea, Eric. We need to go to the Congress and the Senate and this gentleman here, whatever his name is that you just showed us, and say, hey, listen, we've got a message from the aliens. Hold on, it's coming in right now. Go on, speak to me. Got it. They said that they are going to come here if there's any more school shootings.
That's how we solve school gun violence. Now I like it. That makes a lot of sense.
But you're on your way? They're on their way unless we get something done right now.
I think Congress will get worked up about that, which is nice. The thing too is that like I want them to do so. They're going to put out a website with all the information the government has on aliens, but I don't think it's going to be very good. And I don't know why. Like, there's no non-grainy pictures of anything. And we all walk around with cameras. This is another reason why I don't think they exist. We all have cameras, and there's no good pictures. How's that fucking possible?
Of course. Another thing that bothers me about this article is, so during the hearing, the guy said he knows of biologics of non-human origins. It's so vague. Like, if he would have just said, I know where the aliens are, they're like being kept in Area 51, then we'd have answers. But like,
it sounds like some.
What's a biologic? Is that some kind of face cream? What is this he's speaking about? Speak English to us. Here's the thing, right? This is how we get it really done, Eric. It just came to me. The aliens said any more gun violence, and what's that now? You're on your way. The oldest go first. We're gonna take the oldest first.
So McConnell's gone.
Someone get Feinstein in her wheelchair. It's showtime.
I think you're onto something there.
Wake Mitch up. It's time to
smart
dance.
fella, Rodney Steele. All right, listen, we got two more stories. We're gonna blast past these.
Okay, so this was unfortunately the only feel-good story for today, but I'm also going to poke holes in it because it doesn't make sense. So at least the intention was good. So there's this NGO and they're building like disaster relief shelter homes that can be packed in like a tiny box and they can be built. It's like a small framework for a straw house. The problem is God created a bunch of like third world countries and he put them in the places where they have like the worst weather and climate imaginable. So like, I mean, take a look at the structure of these houses. They're straw huts. I mean, the reason they're there in the first place is, why are you gonna make this house like this?
So I like that you're. I would look at your thing the other way. I would say, all right, let's pretend God put down third world countries. Aren't they third world countries because they happen to be in places where they get displaced all the time? Anyway, I don't know. Potatoes. But
this is a $600,000 house on Long Island. I don't know what in the world you boys are talking about. Get out of here. Who's making fun of my house, guys? Seriously.
Well, I have great news.
Mansion.
Yeah, they've gotten this down to $365, and it comes in. So the whole thing is like they tried to do IKEA. They tried to IKEA this shit. So if you get displaced, instead of sending a disaster relief tent, they're going to send you 2 boxes. You got to do this, and then this is what you have to do to it. So that you just get this. So you have to use the shit around you to complete the outside.
Oh.
So let me make sure I understand this.
Well, you probably have a lot of wood laying around because of the disaster. So I guess it's kind of
what they're
itself
thinking. Yeah.
So just a quick question. So I understand. So they send you instead of sending you a tent, they send you another tent with no stuff to put on the tent. We have to source, like, where in the world are you going to find the metal pieces for the top of the roof? Where would that be at?
I don't know
where would we find the metal pieces at, guys?
Right. You know what's fucking wild too? They go, all right, so this is whatever. You buy this for $365, and they go, it goes up in 2 hours. I'm like, yes, this goes up in 2 hours. Do you know how long it takes to do this? Like, come on, man.
Can you go back for a second? What in the hell are the 2 boxes for?
That's where all this stupid shit is in.
The pipes come
in. Okay. Because I was like, well, we got to fit the boxes inside of it. Is this a puzzle? What is this?
I got a shed out in the yard that's still like half built. And it took me about 4 days and extra help. So I don't know how people are going to achieve this.
And this is, I know. Well, this is the problem. We might have to
no instructions.
Listen to these numbers. So there's some organization. They say by the end of 2022, 108 million people were displaced. All right. There's estimates by the IEP that by 2050, 1.2 billion people are going to be displaced. So we better fucking figure out how to do this shit because this is going to be us soon. I mean, 1.2 billion? That's a lot of fucking humans.
I can hear my mom with this. In one of those boxes, is there a cell phone to call for some help?
So they say that the displacement comes from persecution, conflict, violence, human rights violations, and climate change. So to me, instead of Congress working on aliens, why doesn't Congress work on persecution, conflict, violence, rights violations, and climate change? This is what I'm begging you, Congress. Keep me out of these. I can't live here. I can't do this. I'm way too soft. I can't. Come on. Where's the bathroom? Where's the TV? Where's the air conditioner?
Clearly, you haven't been to India.
We're always into responding or reacting rather than being prescriptive and mitigate. We're just always trying to quiet, resolve, give a fast solution.
Right.
That's too much of a,
I got to tell you something. If this was my place, I don't know that I would be that heavy on the scarves. I would be focused on other things.
So when
you know what I mean?
When a flood is coming, you got to grab a bunch of shit in your house. You wouldn't immediately grab all the scarves. You're saying there's other things you might grab?
No, I would grab the TV and the laptop. I don't like you got a plastic chair and a bunch of scarves. At first I thought this was Robin's room with all the shawls.
Yeah. Well, so in the story, they spotlight this one woman and she has one of these. I think I might actually be her house. And they talk about who lived in there. It was her kids, and during times of storms, her chickens. So that's a lot of
shawls.
That's a lot of people and chickens.
I just don't understand why you would send this to somebody without anything to put on it. I can't even comprehend it. It doesn't make sense. It's like when you go into the store and they're showing you the tents, like when you can buy those tents and it's like the miniature ones. Who fits in those little animals?
Yeah, no, I think so. Garrett has a theory that this all goes down to that pigeons are biological agents from the government and pigeons aren't real. There's a whole thing that birds aren't real. This is a now look, he cites a military article. The Army's publishing this. Oh my god! And so, just to wrap up, aliens real, pigeons not real. What a time to be alive! All right, what do we got now?
It is a time.
We got one more.
Okay.
We got one more.
Last one.
That is next.
So on this show, Rodney's always tried to convince me that, Russia bad, America good. Now I don't necessarily disagree, but I do think that we do make the situation worse by not having any diplomacy. So there's this Nobel Prize banquet, and it happens every year. And last year, Russia was excluded from it. This year, they reinvited them. Honestly, it's probably a good move because we can't ignore the fact that people are dying in Ukraine, yes, but diplomatic relations are still very important.
Yeah. Last year, they didn't invite Russia, Iran, and somebody else, Belarus. And they're all.
What about North Korea?
Oddly enough, they're fine. They are just fine. Wow. Nope, nobody cares. Here's my thing. If you were disinvited last year because you're killing people, wouldn't it be awkward to show up to this party? Nobody wants you there. These are the intellectuals of the world,
Yeah. It'd be very bad conversation starters on every turn. You just walk into another one. What the hell are you doing? Right.
Yeah. And everyone, either it's going to be confrontational or they're going to ignore you. Like, what are you showing up?
Yeah.
Or congratulatory is correct.
There's Vlad the killer.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Here's the question though, right? This is when I think you have to be concerned is when Russia's like, we'll host it.
Yeah. Everybody drinks
Vlad's special potatoes.
Yeah. Everyone's poisoned from the Nobel Prize community.
Literally everyone's dead.
I like this chick though. She goes hard. I can't believe you give the green light to Russia to a glamorous party while the missiles fall over Ukrainian cultural centers and murder children. She went fucking hard. Good for her.
Yeah.
And they in no way subscribe to democratic values. Here's another thing about this that fascinates me is it's a global economy now, right? Like we have the internet. Everybody sort of knows what's going on. The United States is involved in a lot of armed conflicts famously throughout the years, but we continue to get invited to things because the world's generally on our side. Like with Russia, don't you know that your only friends are fucking North Korea, Iran, Belarus, like the real kind of
and China.
And China. Doesn't the average Russian citizen go, oh man, there's 186 countries, whatever the fuck it is. 184 fucking hate us. Do you think it's maybe us? I don't know. That's all I got on this.
So I do have a Russian friend, and he does
A
criticize
comrade?
Putin a lot. Yeah, but the thing is, so these people who are against Putin, they're just very afraid to talk about anything. They're afraid to go to rallies because they'll
Right.
get sent to
Oh,
like the
he'll-
gulag.
Gulag. He just crashed that plane from his boy there, the Warner. Remember that story? Wagner. Yes.
Wagner.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
I got
listen,
to tell you though, that guy had close to $600 million. He didn't have enough sense to get out of Russia. He couldn't be helped.
if I had $600 million and Vladimir
literally.
Putin was mad at me, I would get the fuck out of everywhere.
If that man had any sense, he
right.
would have called the good old CIA and said, "Listen, guys, I've got an idea for a coup. I can't do it, but I know you guys can help me.
Yes.
What do you think?" And I believe they probably would have been like, "Let's do an operation."
You've got.
And I would have said, "Can I get myself into Miami,
Mhm.
down on the boardwalk?"
Especially with all those costumes he had that were very convincing. He could have gone anywhere in the world with 600 million in a wig. Oh, well, may you rest in peace.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, we killed the news, and now it's time for the Brion Carroll portion of the evening.
Right.
Finally. Hey.
It's not going to be exciting, guys. I'm sorry.
That's not true. So let's start off. So you live in New Hampshire. You're near me, right? You're in Nashua?
Yeah, so I'm up in New Hampshire, Nashville area. I actually grew up in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Yo, I went to
So-
UMass Lowell. How old are you? Did we hang out in Lowell at the same time?
Maybe, I don't know. I got out of there in high school time, and I ended up going into the military out of Nashua into the Army, and then came back here. Did DoD work at a lot of different places, a lot of different states, and then I think it's been about 15 years I've been here. 15, 16 years.
Yeah.
Ish.
All right, so Sarah, how old are you? I know you're not supposed to ask women, but we're all men here. We can talk about ages.
45.
Oh, dude. If you left after high school, though, I think we missed each other in Lowell by 1 year. That's too bad. We could have been
Now,
besties.
you were telling me that Brian invented taxes.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Where were you stationed in the Army?
Fort Jackson, and then Fort Gordon, and then Fort Devens.
Oh, right next door I live in Shirley. So Devens is, as a matter of fact, Rodney is contemplating coming to my Halloween party. And I said, there's fine hotels in Fort Devens. I just said that to him before the show. Holy shit.
Did.
Okay. So then everything leads to here. Are we correct?
Yeah.
You want to talk about
I mean, I started SABRION. So I've been doing this for about 27 years. So I'd started many companies before, started them with other individuals. This one I just did by myself. And we got a lot of traction coming right out the gate because I had come from a large corporate organization, a lot of connections. And it took off. So I was happy that it went so well.
When I read your description, this is one of those companies that makes me feel really dumb because, like, if I had a gun to my head, I couldn't name Taylor Swift songs. I have a hard time helping companies transform through business and ID improvements. You want to dive deeper into that? Explain it to me like I'm a retarded 2-year-old, not just a normal.
Yeah, so you could just explain it normally.
Yeah. And so my kids used to say, my dad helps companies.
Okay.
And then they'd always follow up with helps them do what? So if there is a company that makes a product, any product, it can be
A widget.
or a TV. It can be a widget.
Okay.
They need to optimize the way they design it, build it, and sell it.
Okay.
So that's what we do. We really meet with them, say, where do you need to change? How do you need to do it?
So you're like a
And
coach
get
or
everybody
performance enhancement, right? So if I came to you and said, I want to be the best, whatever, right?
Yep.
Theoretically, you would be, this is what you need to do. Like,
Yeah.
for example, I play pickleball. I don't know if you've heard. And I have a coach who's prepping me to not come in last place.
That's a good outcome.
Which has been happening
those are
lately.
KPIs, that you
Yes.
want to. So we always merit it to like some kind of performance improvement or return on an investment. So if a company says, I got X number of billions of dollars from this product, I want to reinvest it back in our company. Where are the areas we should focus? How can we do it? And then we just see it through. It's different every time.
So,
it could be the quality.
So let me ask you this:
products.
so a company brings you in, right, and they say, we don't know what in the world we're doing, right? We need to get it tightened up around here, and then you say, this is how we think we could help, right? And then you do the work, or do you have to find the people to do it? Not saying you do it, but your team, I mean.
Yeah. So we come up with the what we call a blueprint and a playbook. We also come up with the roadmap. There are usually, software vendors and other type of vendors that we're kind of like the GM of the change.
Okay.
So we rally all the troops, put them into one room, and then get everybody on the same page, do the program management of it all and all that stuff.
The reason I asked is because I had a friend that worked at McKinsey, and he was running it through me one time, and I said, I don't understand what you guys do. And he's like, we just make suggestions.
That's good.
Charge millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well,
sounds like a good business.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think companies don't know where they're lacking. Most of the times they know where their challenges are. They're not that vague. So usually they come with a specific ask, right?
Do you find that they normally are right or wrong?
I find usually they're a high percentage right. They just don't know how to change. It's just like anybody on earth, right? Like, I want to be able to communicate better. How can I communicate better? So I go to someone to help me communicate with my wife or whatever it is, right? So it's the same thing. They come in with a very, we're trying to get products from here to manufacturing in China, or maybe our manufacturing is right on site, and we're not very good at it. So can you help us go from engineering to manufacturing more seamlessly? What are the steps we need to take? So that's kind of like the level of it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's smart.
How do you find clients now? Do you do marketing?
Yes. Yeah, I do a lot of marketing. I think a lot what you guys do as far as the outreach. I do a lot of outreach.
What's your favorite form of outreach?
LinkedIn.
Have you considered?
I never heard of it.
Because I got to tell you, this daily podcast thing is getting things done in the marketplace. We're so famous now, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I told my wife I was coming on the Eric and Rodney show, and she's like, "Brian, you made it. All these years, this is your break.
Is it.
You finally made it to the Eric and Rodney show."
We're like my mother for LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. I told my mother I host the Eric and Rodney show, and she said, "What the fuck is the Eric and Rodney show?" So your wife is clearly more plugged in with the cutting edge of what's going on in the world.
Yeah, a matter of fact, I was up in, I have to leave names out of things, but I was just in Buffalo, New York. And so I was meeting with two companies up there, a toy manufacturer and a consumer product company. And so I was there all day. I went for 3 days. The last day, they're like, "Hey, we're going to end early." And I drove from Nashua to Buffalo.
Ooh, that's a long ride.
It's about 7.5, 8 hours.
Woo!
So I left yesterday at like 2:00. They're like, "Brian, we think we got the direction we want to go. We're going to move forward." And I left at 2:00, and I was going to stop somewhere around like Albany or something, or Schenectady. And then like one of those like things in my brain when you're driving, it's just like, just do it, drive all the way through. Yeah. So this side of my face is like burnt because I had the window down. I'm like trying to get as much air in my face. But so last night, so that company again was the same thing, right? They had a lot of the manufacturing components that they want to improve upon. So I met with the executives, kind of gave them, walked the plant, walked the engineering, walked the IT. It's usually people, process, technology, and data that need to change. And if you can kind of prioritize which one of those need to evolve first, people are usually able to sign up because our process sucks. So we can do that. Our IT is really old, or our OT, our operating.
How do you get the people turned around though? Let's say, let me give you an example. Let's say you come into a place, right? And it's pretty big or small, or I don't know, whatever. And you say, "Listen, this group of people here they don't have their affairs in order. They're not getting it done." How do you shape that behavior or get them turned around?
Yeah, so you hit on a great point. So culture in an organization is usually the hardest to change.
Sure.
And if they really do not have any understanding about where they should go, you really have to kind of show them examples of organizations like them that we have changed, right? So, you know, show them someone like Nike, right? If you're going to a footwear company, be like, this is how we help Nike. Right. And they're like, oh, okay. So you usually have to get them to think outside of their world, because culturally, people in organizations that are siloed kind of stay in their own box, and people have been there for decades, multiple decades.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of bring in a new business model to show them how to shape their culture. So that's usually how, if they don't have a clue, we usually sit down and go with some, what we call minimal viable products that can help a company like
MVPs.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So you have you ever seen
like
Kitchen Nightmares? It seems like a Kitchen Nightmare situation where, like,
yes,
Gordon Ramsay to come in here and say everything sucks, the food sucks, the service sucks, the restaurant sucks, but then inevitably there's pushback, and they'll go, "You don't know what you're talking about."
And then he takes the bread on the girl's head and says, "You're an idiot sandwich." You don't do that. Right? Do you do that or no?
Yeah. He's a Michelin-starred chef, and he's telling you that your food sucks. Your food sucks. So Brian, you're probably much like Gordon Ramsay, but you must get pushback by the dum-dums who don't believe it.
So usually I before I start insulting anybody, as far as the way they've been running their organization, especially they're running a multi-billion-dollar organization and I'm not, right?
Yeah.
And they're making products successfully, whatever it is. I try to find out where their value is, right? And I take basically an asset list, which is their values and their defects, and kind of line them up and show them where they can improve. So I rarely do I ever go in and point out the obvious flaws. Most of the times those executives already know their flaws. So me pointing them from the outside just puts me in a bad position. And it doesn't really lead to, you're selling people at the end of the day. I don't care what you sell on this earth. You're selling people. You're selling yourself, right? The face this right here. It's the face of your product.
Right.
So if the face of your product is not personable, if it doesn't have passion in it, that product's going to go, it comes out in the love and the care of the good, right? So
that's why this show has so much soul. You can feel the soul from here, can't you? It's because we
make it with love. I have a question for you. I have a question for you, because you obviously have seen a lot of products, right? And I know what you're thinking. He wants to know what's the worst product. I don't. I have a long list of the worst products. What would you say, right? It could be a billion-dollar company, or it could be some Mickey Mouse place we've never heard of. But what would you say is an example, right, of a company that gets it right, or maybe a few companies that get it right?
Well, so I've been in so everything's broken down on industry. I started off in Department of Defense, which is basically missiles, ships, tanks. And then I went into retail, footwear, and apparel. And here's what I know. And I'm also in life sciences, which is pharmaceutical and medical devices. Here's one thing I know is that from a culture and a investment in the product, I would say a fashion retail industry definitely knows how to touch their customer. They know their customer better than anybody, which is important, right? That's how you stay ahead. Like we used to plan by seasons. I remember we would plan by, the spring, summer, fall. Now we plan by the month, maybe sometimes even the week, what the assortment's going to look like. So you have to know what your customer wants so intimately that you can predict what they're going to want to buy from you 3 months from now.
That's true.
So I like any company that can do that successfully.
Missiles to shoes.
But, I have another question, and you don't know if you know the answer to this, because I can't seem to figure it out. But you know how you'll get an email, right, from Banana Republic, and they'll be like, and I like Banana Republic, so I'm not. It could be J. Crew. At this point, they should just merge, right? But I digress. Right? You'll get an email from them, and they're like, well, look at this suit, right? Maybe you shouldn't be buying suits from there, but I'm just giving you an example. And they'll be like, it's $500. We know it. We know if we wait 2 weeks, it's going to be $150. Crazy idea. This is my idea. Just make it $150.
Yeah.
Forget this charade. Nobody's going to wait. I know. I'm like, I just tell to watch 2 weeks, guys, and it's free. Just stop the charade.
It'll be in the clearance rack in the back of the store.
Like, have they not learned this yet? I've learned it, and I've never worked in this kind of business. They ain't caught on yet.
Yeah.
What's going
on?
Well,
they have actually. So if you look at it, most stores that are successful, like you just said, there's a whole. We're working with a very large retailer that's basically the Walmart of Europe. And they acquired a brand out of Spain that has several hundreds or a few hundred stores. And the model is that it's a wholesaler, kind of like Aldi's here in the States, right? Aldi's kind of like a wholesale market.
We like Aldi.
It's not, you're not getting like discounted clearance things. You're getting wholesaled goods,
right?
Which is great. So everyone now, if they're going to succeed, and I'm not going to name any brands because there's too much I know about that, but at the end of the day, every brand, most brands that are going to be successful now have a wholesale division to where all these SKUs that they normally sell for 500, they just make it, some kind of shift in the construction of the garment and they have a wholesale model. That will probably be the future of retail. So you divide your customer segments. You have the people that will pay $500 for that Banana Republic. Like they don't care. Yeah, they have more money. They don't even care what the number is.
They have more money than cents.
They don't even they don't even check the tags. It's just
right.
I don't care. Then no one looks at that. So, and then you have the people that do care, but they want to wear Banana Republic Coach J. Crew.
Right.
So that it will be the way the consumer buys. There'll be almost segregated consumer brackets of purchase, right? I'm shopping at the outlet store or the factory store. You're shopping at the real store, but at least I get to have the brand,
Right.
So, yeah.
So you're kind of product agnostic at this point, right? Between missiles, shoes, toys. What else are you working on there?
Yeah. What brand of missile would you recommend? If I'm looking for a good set of missiles.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you that what I have seen that is amazing, like outside of the virtual reality and augmented realities that we're really sprinting towards artificial intelligence, these type of disruptors that are going to optimize companies globally, I can't even imagine what retail is going to do, but one division industry is pharmaceutical, and this industry is going to change the world in the next 5 to 10 years just because of artificial intelligence and the way of the formulation of certain, medicines get developed, get sold. It's going to be a whole new world for the way that we sustain and
as long as they stop
probably live longer.
Commercials. As long as they stop with those stupid commercials.
Is that your issue with it? Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want to see the commercials. Like they're like, if you ever feel tired,
I'm
tired right now. Tired of these commercials.
That's a good point.
That's how they figure it out.
With AI in medicine is, remember with CRISPR, the gene editing software, like we've mapped out the human genome, and they were saying with CRISPR technology that they could look at your genome as a diagnostic, like they can sniff out cancer years before. I would love to, so you read my genome and then have the smart computer tell me exactly what's wrong and how to fix it. Like that's better than a doctor, right? Because they're like, oh, on a scale from 1 to 10, how much does it hurt? That's so fun. Shut up. Just read my shit and tell me what's wrong with it.
Yeah, exactly. Then that's where we're going. That's not even like a theoretical pontificating.
I agree with you.
Right.
What's funny about
very real, very right now.
They did that. If you think about it, right? Like I remember growing up, like my dad would be like, we're going to change the oil.
Yeah.
Right. I'm gonna be completely honest with the two of you. I'm pretty good with a car. I don't even know how the hell to get to the oil.
Right.
I know how to check it, but I don't have the tools. I said to the guy last time I went to the deal, I said, how would you change your oil?
Yeah.
Are you crazy? You know what I mean? You've got to do that on here. You don't even have. And I was like, forget it. But my point is, right, is that they plug into the diagnostic machine. It runs all these tests.
Yeah.
It's inevitable that it's the same with us. I agree. I agree with you. Like that was the breeding ground. Now it's here.
Oh, totally. Remember that show House? Remember that old English guy?
Yeah.
So the premise of every episode was someone comes in with something weird. Everyone else can't figure it out. At the end, House is like, well, it's ass polyps. Like, oh my God, it's fucking ass polyps. This machine is going to be House. It's just going to get to it right away.
He would take a couple of pills, curse everyone out, and then solve the mystery. It was like Sherlock Holmes.
Exactly.
It was like Sherlock Holmes but for drugs.
Right.
Well, it's also going to be optimized based on logistics.
Right.
So if you look at operationally, we always go to a hospital. We always go to a doctor's office. At the point now where the diagnostics are almost going to be like, like you said, a kind of a plug-in diagnostic of my body at a local Walgreens. Yeah. And then I go back home and the drone delivers my medication.
I like it.
The way that we're separating, and there's a company, that I probably still can't mention, but so I did automotive for a while. And
of course, is there anything you haven't been involved in?
As a one-off thing. And so they were making electric trucks.
Ooh.
And I was like, this truck is incredible. Like, I have seen the Teslas. I've been at this truck is incredible. And I was like, who are you going to sell this to? Like, what's your market? And they're like, we're not actually looking to sell it to anybody direct to consumer. We're trying to sell it to Amazon to drive autonomous vehicles in the neighborhoods and drop off and deliver the packages. They're like, that's our whole model. We don't.
I have a question for you.
I was like, it's genius.
That's crazy. I have a question for you, and I know Eric's been worried sick about it, so I'm mainly asking for him. But do you think this technology will replace the pharmacist?
The pharmacist. Yeah, we have big beef with.
I don't know. I
think on this show.
I still think they need to count something. I don't know what's their job. What's their actual job?
Remember,
just like they count the pills. So the guy
throw the change in, it would give you change. We have machines that can count. I think our first machine we ever had can count. So I think the pharmacists are out.
But like, here's the thing I wanted to say, right? Like, I watched it from start to finish one day, right? I gave him the prescription. The pharmacy tech scanned it. It said, go to where the drug was. She went and got a huge bottle, a monster one. Like it was, I was like, wow, just give me that one. She came over with it, dropped 30 pills in there, and it slid down this thing. And I said, damn, I got a degree in finance. I should have gone into pharmacy. This is much easier.
Well,
much easier.
We found out that Walmart pharmacists are making 10040K. So to count pills, that's pretty good. Not too shabby.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, I just say this, right? I know some other pharmacists that are in different kind of industry and doesn't work at Walmart. They make significantly more than $140,000 a year. You would be surprised at how much they make.
Yeah.
Really? I mean, I think, and I think they go to school like as long as a doctor.
Like 12 years, exactly, right? That's what I always say. You're going to have to go to school
a long time.
12 years to count pills. And here's the other one. If you want to see how useless they could be, next time you go in and they say, we're out of that drug, how long will it take the pharmacist to make it? An hour? 2 hours? I went to get my cholesterol medication. They said, we're out of it. I said, I'll be back in 2 hours. The pharmacist can make it.
No, turns out they don't make the medicine. They just.
I don't think they make that. I don't think
they don't do anything.
They get it
that's
delivered.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Okay. That's our point.
They don't make is delivered.
They don't make the medicine. They don't know how to. They don't prescribe the medicine. What the fuck do they do? Hand me the medicine.
But I go in there and say, I have high cholesterol. What cloves can I conjure together? I can't help you.
Stop. I don't know.
If you're gonna get those pharmacy vending machines, you're gonna have these people that are just gonna like steal the entire machine, though. I think, right?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe.
If there's opioids in there, I'm stealing the whole thing. I'm shoving them right up my ass. Yeah, of course.
Either it'll get stolen or they'll get trapped in it.
Which also like a claw machine. All right, we only have 2 minutes left, Brian. Do you want to pimp anything? I do. What if you did? What if you were the expert at this shit and you had the Daily Show on LinkedIn? I think that would really help.
So I actually had. There was a thing that came out for a while called Clubhouse.
Oh, that lived and died.
Yes, I remember that. What
lived and died.
Clubhouse? It was. Hold on a second. I remember that. It was
huge for like 3 months.
Mark Andreessen said it was going to take over the world.
I know, and I never understood.
I had forgotten about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what happened?
But if so, I started the Clubhouse thing. We did it at noon, I think, every Friday, and we had upwards around like 25, 30 people that would join and chat. Yeah. The thing that I find out, what I like about this show, and I have many colleagues that do this type of, show or whatever. And I think what is different about your show is that you talk plainly. I cannot talk about my own industry for more than 30 minutes because I really, unless I'm talking with someone who's passionate about it, but the only way that we're going to get people to understand what people are doing behind the scenes and invest in it, because we have no one that does what we do anymore. Like there's a tremendous gap in employment here for people that do what we do. It's product lifecycle management, digital transformation.
Interesting.
We have such a gap. So I would love people to get excited about it.
Yeah.
I think they should get excited.
So
I'm
that
excited
they invest
about
in it. Yeah, it should be. I mean, it's a wonderful industry.
anything that makes you make more money
from,
and makes you better. I mean, it's just common sense, isn't it?
Yeah, I get pretty excited
That's
about
right.
money.
I love money.
Yep.
I hate to say it, but I do.
All right, Brian, stick around. I'm going to shut off the public thing, but stick around in the green room for a second. Well, listen, America, enjoy your nice long weekend, and we will be back on Tuesday at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Tuesday!
Labor Day. All right. Thanks, Brian.
Bye.
See you. Bye, America. Oh, my